Have you ever wondered what's the ultimate formula for creating a successful, profit-producing sales funnel in niche after niche, in industry after industry? Well, that's the main theme of this episode, and of course, we'll also be covering lots more tips and strategies to help you monetize your business. I'm Caleb O Dowd, and this is the show that brings you profit-producing secrets from the greatest marketers in the world. My guest today is Mark Ling. Mark is one of the most prolific marketers that I know. He's involved in so many different niches and has been able to produce such massively successful sales funnels. It just boggles the mind. He is a genius marketer and an absolute professional monetization expert. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
You, to me, Mark, are one of the most prolific marketers out there in the world today. I every time I talk to you, you seem to be, doing so many different funnels and so many different projects. I don't know how you keep it all together, but in terms of your massive experience in creating so many various different sales funnels in so many different niches, can you kind of take us through what are some of the key elements that you want to have in every funnel that, just across the board are the essential mix of tactics and strategies that make a great funnel, in your opinion?
Well, I've always come down to this basic formula. You probably heard it before, but it's worth repeating. Leads times conversion rates times average dollars per customer times average number of sales per customer, and then minus your expenses, and that's your profit, right? And I need to know essentially at the front end of that where are the leads coming from, and what is the product that I've got to offer to these people that they really need. And if you grow to understand your market really well, and you understand what their house on fire problems are and all of those sort of things, and you're providing a good solution to those problems, then you can multiply that income by getting that price point right, and then having upsells and so forth if need be, and then having more products to promote to them, either your own ones or affiliate products. And all of those things, those levers are the real key, I guess, when it comes to doing well in any particular niche. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say it was dog training. I'm making a dog training product. Then I'd be looking at what are the biggest house on fire problems that market has. Those house on fire problems are going to be, people are going to type into Google, stop my dog digging, stop dog barking, stop dog chewing, stop dog aggression, stop dog bolting out the front door, stop dog pulling on the lead, and separation anxiety and coprophilia and all sorts of things. People tend to buy a lot more to avoid a problem than they do to go towards pleasure, even though there are a lot of cases where they will buy for pleasure as well. But I found in the dog training market, as an example, we had, this is way back now, like over a decade ago, when we started our dog training product. We had about 1 in 666 people would buy the product when they visited the sales page. If it was all about how to train your dog to do tricks, how to train your dog with positive reinforcement tactics and so forth, so that he will obey you wherever you go, and will, even learn how to climb ladders and do fancy tricks and all of that sort of stuff. Puppy train your dog, house train your dog, all that sort of stuff didn't work. It just didn't convert. So we put an exit pop up on our page asking people why they were leaving without joining, and people would type in things like, "Oh, well, my dog's aggressive towards people and other dogs, and this doesn't look like it's the place for me," or "My dog's been nipping people," or "My dog bites," or "My dog's been chewing the furniture," or "My dog's been bolting out the front door really fast every time I open it. It's really embarrassing," or "My dog jumps up on people," or what's all these problems. So we made sure, of course, all these problems were covered in our book and in our videos. We just doubled down on it, made sure that they were extra covered, extra well, added those to the sales copy, made the headline be something like, who else wants to finally put an end to all of their dog's behavioral problems for good, including digging, barking, chewing, aggression, pulling on the lead, and more. All of a sudden, it went from 1 in 666 people buying to 1 in 90 were buying. And then eventually, with a bit more tweaking, we got it to 1 in 60 were buying. And then on some search phrases, it was as little as 1 in 10 were buying, depending on what the phrase was. Like if it was an expensive dog breed and people typed something like stop Weimaraner aggression or something, then bang, it'd be 1 in 9. Or even Weimaraner training might be 1 in 15 because they're a more expensive type of dog, for instance. So their dog owners, if they've got a problem, they would pay money for it to solve it. So you want to know that you've got a really good solution. This is if you're making your own products. You want to have a really good solution to some house on fire problems. You want to know what those problems are, get really specific about those problems, and make sure that you're able to overcome them. And if you're the affiliate, then you still want to know all of those things as well anyway, because you're going to do a much better job as the affiliate making sales with that product you're promoting if you really understand those things well.
Do you get most of your traffic from PPC? I heard you mention like keywords and stuff like that. Is that kind of where you start with these niche products, or is that just one of the traffic sources in the grand scheme of things for you?
It's just one traffic source. A lot of the time it's free. A lot of the time, if I am the website owner, the affiliates will send the traffic, so they'll be buying pay-per-click. I might just pay out 75% commission, and that's enough. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'll pay 90% commission, just whatever it takes to make sure that they're able to profit on their ad spend. Sometimes we're running ads. Sometimes we're just build up our own organic channels, like on YouTube. We've got a few YouTube channels that are got silver play buttons and stuff in different niches where we're able to just get a lot of organic traffic without having to buy it. Sometimes some niches are hard to buy traffic. You can... It's just too competitive, but we're able to get a lot of free traffic, like by having a lot of really good free content out there on video, like on YouTube and stuff. And then, like I say, some niches, it's we might buy some traffic, Facebook, YouTube traffic, or pay-per-click, like you say. Sometimes it's a bit of search engine traffic as well. There's a lot of different sources of traffic, and I think people underestimate just how big the world is, and that they don't need to dominate a traffic source in order to get a lot of traffic. They just need to be providing a lot of value for a consistent period of time, or they need to be able to just pay for ads and then learn from what's making sales and what isn't, and be willing to lose some money while they're learning where their customers are or what their customers want if they're buying the traffic. And you say, what's the perfect funnel? I mean, it depends, because some funnels people are willing to spend more up front, in which case you don't need a long funnel in order to be doing well, because you can give people more if they're spending more. And then some funnels, you need to have a lower price product and then have options. So the product might be that, say, 80% of people buy might only be $50, but 20% of people will buy that first upsell that's $100, and then they'll buy maybe a monthly membership of another product that you've got that's $50 a month or something. And then that adds up to quite a bit if the average person stays for say 8 months. If you've got something that's not good value and it's a monthly, the average person will stay for 3 months. If it's something that they really like and they are using, then the average person will stay 6 to 8 months is usually pretty good. I'm not saying that you can't go longer. If it's something that they find hard to cancel, like, say, web hosting, it's a bit of a pain to move your website from one host to another. It might be average out at 3 years. But for a lot of things, if it's, say, something more information type product or something like that, 6 to 8 months is pretty good. Sometimes you can have a high ticket product further down the funnel if it's relevant to do so. And sometimes there's affiliate offers that you might promote that are relevant, that might fit into your follow-up sequence for the members of that niche product. Like, for instance, we might not own any dog food ourselves, but we could affiliate to, say, a dog food supplier. And if people want that all-natural dog food, if they happen to be in wherever that jurisdiction is that they sell that dog food, then we could be earning an affiliate commission, just as an example.
Awesome. One of the things that I learned from you that I thought was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and so lucrative, was you put an offer between the buy button and the order form, and you made it even a continuity offer. And could you talk a little bit about that? Because to me, that was such a simple stroke of genius that you know totally transforms the math of the types of funnels that you guys run.
Yeah, in some niches, a continuity offer before they've gone and bought the main offer works better than offering it after they've already made the purchase. I mean, you always test these things. Like sometimes someone's gone and bought the product, and then that might be your first offer as a dollar trial of some continuity offer, right? But in some cases, it actually works a lot better to just go, here's your two options. Either you're buying this product, like this book right here, or you're buying the platinum membership where you've got the book plus the continuity offer. Let's just use dog training as an example. Imagine you could buy the book, or you could buy the let's say a platinum offer that includes the book plus access to our dog trainers. You could ask them a question any day of the week, post it in our membership forum. You access like 120 plus dog training videos that get added to every single month, and so forth. So you can join, just become a platinum member of our community, and that's say $37 a month, for instance. So some people would choose, I just want the book, and some people are like, yeah, no, I'll take that $37 a month thing, and then they're happy because they've constantly got all their dog stuff answered, and maybe they'll stay on for a long time, and maybe they'll it's like some people would stay on for 3 years, some people will stay on for 3 months, and then it might average out at say 8 months. That's sort of like typical kind of behavior. So if you've got something of value that you can offer for a continuity, then quite frequently we find that offering people two options at the point of sale actually, and you'll hear people say, hey, don't confuse people with too many options. This is only two options, two, sometimes three at most. So it's not like you're offering them 10 options here, but quite often offering them two options right there does better than one option and then the upsell. And I think part of it is that some people were never going to buy the book, but they were actually excited by the continuity thing because they actually, that's what they wanted, something a bit more all singing or dancing, like a bit more of a comprehensive product. So perhaps you're getting some sales that you wouldn't otherwise have made. Whereas if it's an upsell, then they needed to have bought the book first. But what if some people were never going to buy a book, but they were going to buy your big membership site with all of your videos and your access to your forum and all that stuff? So that's why that option one, option two approach can work quite well. And it does impact things quite a lot because the average dollars per sale, generally it'll go up from let's say with upsells and everything, with say $100 upsell and stuff like that. Let's say your $50 product or whatever, you were making $80 a sale. Well, instead of that, you might be making $180 or $200 or more per customer, because maybe 30% of people will take that recurring and 70% might take that one off. They just go, no, option one, option two, I'm just going to get the book. But 30% take the recurring, and if your average retention is 8 months, then that's quite a lot, right? Like you can do the math on a calculator. It makes a big difference.
So, what I love about this, so this is essentially a page that goes, like, somebody watches your video sales letter, or they read down through your text sales letter, they click to buy. Instead of going to the order form straight away, they go to this kind of interim page, and this interim page essentially asks them, select the type of package you want. Do you want like the regular package, or do you want this awesome package with all of this really, really cool stuff? They then select which package they want. Then they go to the order form. One of many reasons why I love this page and this idea and this tactic and strategy is because when we first, started doing funnels, we would have a really good conversion rate on upsell number one, as you know, everybody does, no surprise there. We then started putting a bump offer on the order form, and what we found was, from a conversion perspective, the most amount of people would convert at that offer. So by putting an offer like on the order form, we got the highest take rate for that particular offer. The reason why I love this so much is because you've essentially gone one better than that. You've essentially taken a key strategic offer and you've put it before the order form, which means that you get the maximum
Yeah.
quantity of eyeballs on an offer before they even visit the order form. And I just think that it was just such a genius little move. The way you do it is brilliant. You do continuity offers. Clearly, this can work even if you don't have a continuity offer. Just giving people
Mm.
like multiple options to upgrade before the order form is a
It,
great idea. But the math of what you were talking about there, if you know, so many people that run kind of low ticket front end offers, they are in that 50 to $80 cost of acquisition AOV type scenario. And to be able to take a funnel like that from an $80 AOV to 180 to $200 AOV is an overnight transformation of the entire business. I mean, what you can do with all of that extra AOV, the amount of extra money you can spend to acquire more customers, the amount of extra profit that flows into the business. It's
mm.
not a small thing. It's a massive, massive tactic that transforms the math of everything that is going on with your funnel.
I was going to say there's a couple of other things like worth keeping in mind. Firstly, that you should never rely on people forgetting about the continuity in order to get the recurrings for two reasons. One is you may get chargebacks or higher refund rates, right? Chargebacks is like that's what every payment processor doesn't want and you don't want to have. Um, and two, you're never going to get past about 3.5 months average retention. Um, and if you have something that people are using and it's helpful to them, usually that continuity lasts a lot longer. Usually it lasts 6 months at least, if not 8 months. So it's actually more important to encourage them to use the thing. It's very important. So like we'll send out emails telling people what's in their membership this month, and it'll even send a reminder email with 5 days to go before the recurring comes out, reminding them what they've already got, like really sell them on logging in and going and getting their stuff, what they've got, what's coming up next month, and how to cancel if they want to leave. So just the fact that we're even showing them how to cancel makes people feel better. And when people feel safe, they're like, I'll wait till next month if they like
That's
what they've
brilliant.
got.
Yeah.
And what we found at first, when we first introduced that, was at first, because we mailed it out to everybody all at once, when we first introduced that process, we had a flurry of cancellations, right? But our chargeback rate went to zero, like went
Yeah.
from whatever it was, point something of a 0.5% went to nothing, right? Our refund rate went down. And then our average retention ended up staying the same. So it went down momentarily while things sort of played out because it was newly introduced, and then eventually our average retention rate went back to where it was. So all of that was like a wash. It was just better though because you had a lower chargeback rate, lower refund rate. Everyone's happier. Um, so I think that's quite important, like long term,
Yeah.
because if you don't want to get in trouble with your payment processors, you don't want anyone upset
Yeah.
as a customer, and you want to scale further. You know, all of these sort of things matter. So I thought I'd just mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also mentioned there that the one example of the type of continuity offers that you offer. I actually learned about that kind of like email coaching type thing from
Email coaching.
Yeah, there's Performance Golf have an upsell in their funnel where they say, hey, we have these PGA like golf trainers. So for 97 bucks a month, you can go out onto the golf course, have your buddy record you, hitting the ball, send that recording to us, and we'll have this PGA like trainer critique your swing and send you feedback on like what you need to do to improve your swing. And you just mentioned there the whole dog thing, like, join our community or something like that. You can hang out with our dog trainers and, get advice. That is so universally appealing to people to have the option to be able to, communicate, receive advice, coaching, get your questions answered by an expert in the field. It's such a universally appealing upsell that is applicable to so many different funnels and so many different niches out there. And I always say to guys, do you know how easy it is to go to a website like Upwork and hire, a coach in a particular industry? Like, let's say you're in the weight loss industry. Do you know how many nutritionists there are? If you're in the personal development niche, do you know how many like life coaches there are available? Like, it's very, very easy to put an upsell like that together, very easy to staff that type of upsell and make a lot of money, offering something like that, because people have a natural desire to be in contact and get support from experts.
I first offered that kind of upsell back in, must have been the year 2000, maybe 2001. Yeah, 2001, something like that. I started in 1999, but I had my first product online in the year 2000, and then 2001 probably when we added stuff like that, like email consultations and stuff like that. And we found that while people liked the idea of it, at that time anyway, only 1 in every 10 customers actually took advantage of that. It's not like they didn't receive other things as well. But a lot of people think that they're going to use this certain thing and then they end up not using it, or they might use it 1 month and not again for another 4 months, but they're still part of that continuity. Maybe they're enjoying the monthly magazine that we release, or the videos and other things. But don't think you're going to be inundated with support. It's not.
Yeah. People just like the security of knowing that it's there, that they have the help if and when needed.
Yeah. Like quite often you'll get that dog training question or something like that. Like, hey, there's my dog just barks at the neighbor's cat that's on the fence all the time. And yet the neighbor gets annoyed that the dog barks, but that's their cat's on the fence. And what do we do about it? And, you end up helping them resolve that situation, or at least come up with a meaningful solution. And then next thing you know, they're really happy with it, but you don't hear from them again, but they're still your member for ages, and then maybe you hear from them a year later about something else. But I'm just saying that it's not like every single member that buys ends up messaging you like every single week or something. People worry about that sort of thing with that kind of bonus, but it just doesn't tend to play out like that.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, if you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you are, if you have watched this far into the show, then just a quick reminder, go ahead, press the like button, subscribe to this channel for more useful monetization tips. We've got tons coming your way, and turn on notifications so you don't miss all of the great tips coming in future episodes. Every single episode contains $1 million ideas. And of course, thank you for sharing this episode with your friends and colleagues. I really appreciate it. I'm always impressed by how much you've got going on, Mark. And when I speak to others who also know you, everybody that knows you is like, I just don't know how that guy does so much. Like you've got so many deals going on. You've got so many sales funnels out there. You're involved in so many different niches. How do you get so much done? How do you get through so much work?
It's not that much. It's more that I've been around a long time, and some of these sites have been around ages and took on lives of their own. So sometimes there could be a website of mine that I haven't really done a lot on personally, but maybe my staff are running quite nicely for me. Like if you've got a website, let's say, that's making you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, then you just, and you've got a couple of staff that are there manning that website and making sure it ticks over and it's doing well, then it can look like you're doing a lot of stuff because you've got that website and then you've got this other site and then this other site, but it's actually just a good team underneath me and good systems, I guess. I try to make sure things are repeatable. And then if I learn something new, I record a video and send it out to the team, make sure everyone knows exactly how to do this new process or something like that. I like to do things in a repeatable way. If I have a lot of niche products and they were all run very differently from each other, it would be hard to manage. But if they all have a lot of parallels with each other, then it becomes an easy system for anyone in the team to sort of plug into, even though one site might be dog training and another site might be to do with self-hypnosis tracks or something else. This the team depend not necessarily the customer support staff, or might need them to be more specialist, but most of the team from a marketing point of view and everything else, they tend to find, or programmers and stuff like that, they tend to find everything to be quite nice and neat and repeatable. I like to keep things simple and systematized as much as I can, that's for sure. And I will say that it's not all about trying to be in as many niches as you can be in. It's just that I've kind of got a bit of a scatterbrain and I have a bit of trouble sitting still in one place and end up doing a bunch of stuff. But people that have gone further than me have usually narrowed down to just two or three niches, or maybe even one sometimes. And ultimately, if you want to make more money, you're going to do better if you niche down and go deeper. But if you are happy with what you're making and you can't sit still and you've got all of these different ideas and you want to try another one and another one, then maybe you end up like me with, still doing pretty well, but having a lot of different projects going on and different team members that I keep having to converse with and make sure things are ticking over.
You just reminded me of something there when you were talking about systematizing things. My brother John always says that anything worth doing again is worth doing for the last time. And what he means is, to give you an example, like from an email campaign perspective, if you know you're going to be using an email campaign like this again and again and again and again and again, it's worth setting it up in a way where you set it up as like a systematized thing and create a training about it so that you can pass that training over to everybody else on your team. So you yourself, if you know that I'm going to be doing this particular job is needed again and again, you yourself set it up so that you do it the last time, create a training, systematize it, pass it over to the team so that they can do it in a very productive way from that point forward.
And make the tools, like in this case, AI tools that can help them a lot in that process. I'm constantly building AI tools, for instance, and using those to help the team with whether it be with copywriting, whether it be with image stuff or video tools or what have you. Constantly working away at that. I mean, currently I have programmers working on tools that build apps for the iOS App Store, because we've put out apps for one of my companies that are doing really well, making lots of in-app purchases. So we're saying, well, why are we building a specialist app now for each product or whatever that we've got? No, we just need to build a tool that builds apps so that non-app builders on our team can now build apps, and then we'll build the tool that makes the tool, basically, is what I'm saying. So that's another way to have a system. It's like a system can be you record videos and training for your staff and pass that on, or a system can be you're now going to invest or build software that helps you build other software. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very smart.
Nice and easy. Yeah.
I know you're big into AI tools. I've had the privilege of using some of your AI tools, and they're absolutely brilliant. Where do you think the game of creating, advertising, copywriting, where do you think we're going to be like 3 to 5 years from now? Because I know, looking at some of your stuff, it's kind of mind blowing what you are doing today in terms of creating video sales letters and email campaigns and things like that. Where do you think this AI revolution is going to be 3 years from now in terms of,
Well,
advertising?
honestly, if I had enough time, and that's all. And honestly, I spend half my time coaching kids sports at the moment. Like I'm spending a lot of time not working as well. So that's on me. But I'm just saying, if I had enough time, I would say there's not a lot that AI can't do. People think it can't because they don't quite get it, or they think it's all to do with prompting on ChatGPT or on Claude or something like that. They're not thinking in terms of custom language models or multi-phase agents or anything like that. But if I had enough time, I mean, I could make, I know I could make software that could literally write, say, sitcom episodes and write them from start to finish and not even sound like AI if I really, really was to put the time in. So I do see it
Wow.
getting to a point where people, you'll probably end up finding that you watch some show on TV and you don't even realize that the entire episode was written by AI, like without even anybody, with maybe one writer's input, and that was it. And it'll eventually get to that, whether that's 3 years, whether that's 6 months. I mean, it could be done in 6 months if there was enough focus put in by a bunch of people. But it will probably, from what I've seen, I thought that would already be here by now, and I kind of know how to do it. So I figure if it's not already here now, it's 6, 7, 10 years down the track. I mean, I've built things before that I thought people would do sooner. Like just a quick example, going off track a little bit, just as an example, sometimes your idea doesn't always come out as fast as you think it will. Like, you know how to do something. Like, we had software back in 2001 that would take a photo of your face, turn it into 3D. Like, especially women would use this a lot. We had like millions of people using this thing. It would take a photo of your face, turn it into 3D, and you could try out hundreds of hairstyles on your head in 3D,
That's brilliant.
different colors, different lengths, different styles. You could try out hundreds of them. And that was back in 2001. And um, long story about how I got, like, the guys that I was partnered with, there was four of us. They didn't want me on the board for it. And then they blew up the server somehow, and they didn't save the email leads. And we had over 2 million people using the thing. And
Wow.
anyway, I thought someone would just come along and do something similar, and no one did for about over a decade. It took about 15 years later before someone made something like that. Um, so that's why I think, some of these things, I think, when I say 3 years, I'm like, 3 years, maybe. But then sometimes things take 10 years because no one else thinks of what you thought of. So if you've got a big idea out there and you're watching this, don't just assume someone else has got the same idea as you. Sometimes you actually find no one else does for a long time. If you don't take action on it, then someone else will come up with it, but it's not always as quick as you think. Certainly in
Awesome.
copywriting, I do think that to the level of copywriting that people are at right now, that the top copywriters are at right now, and then if you say where the top copywriters are, and then you go down maybe 15%, this level here, AI will be doing that level quite comfortably in the next 12 months. But that other level, that little bit higher, I think there's always going to be a lot of room for humans to outperform AI for quite some time. I do think that those that are not on the leading edge of things, or not willing to use AI to be more of themselves, so they can actually produce maybe 3 times as much copy and be slightly better than they were before because they're using AI tools. If they're not willing to do that, then they may lose out unless they are the best of the best, like they're in that top 15%. Um, Definitely in those kind of industries, people are going to need to be right on either at the top of the game or be willing to use AI tools so that they can at least be more prolific. That's where I see it going, I guess.
I always kind of think, and maybe mistakenly let me know, but I always kind of think that AI is really great at writing, the writing part. But in terms of like strategically planning out, like a particular angle that factors in a lot of kind of external issues, I kind of feel like that's where AI kind of runs aground. Like, let's say you have an email list, you've put out several types of offers already. That you got to create something kind of new and unique. It seems to me like, and maybe I'm wrong, that AI is not kind of at that level where it can say, hey, I understand, the history of like what's going on with the relationship with this email list. And taking all of that into consideration, I think the very next coolest thing to offer would be X.
But
Um,
but it could do that if you program that in. It's just most
really?
people haven't programmed that in. That's all. I
Wow.
mean, that's if you haven't programmed it in, of course not. But if you've programmed the AI to see all of that data, then it's going to do that. At least from what I've seen, and every time I've tried it, even with manually inputting stuff, it's been very good at it. So it depends, I guess, how you're using it and what tools you're supplying to the AI. I mean, you don't even have to always use AI to do stuff. Like, for instance, if you have just a sequentially in the background, you could have AI maybe help do the planning phase, right? And then you've got another tool that might be like, right, the AI is saying we need to do keyword research about X. So then there you've got another tool that's not even AI, where it's going to just look up all these keywords that the AI said that you should look up, and it's going to now go on the web and it's going to pull the top 10 results for each of those things. And then it's going to scrape all of those pages and it's going to take all the information that's on those pages and it's going to learn from them and then summarize those. And then it's going to pass that off to another AI tool that's then going to take all those summaries and it's going to take whatever it thinks is the best of each of those things and boil that down and turn it into a mind map. And then it's going to take that mind map and another tool is going to take that and use that to do something else. Like once you start to build AI tools that are doing things sequentially, that's kind of what we like to do with our tools. Once you do that, then they can do a lot more than what the average person thinks it can do. It's just that if they're trying to do it in one go, like they're just trying to come up with the ultimate prompt for ChatGPT or Claude, and they're trying to do it in one go without all of these separate steps, then of course you're right, it will be difficult. But people that start to use agents, so to speak, or they're using, or at least something like Make or something like that, where it can at least sequentially use a whole lot of tools, they're able to produce better results and able to definitely analyze stuff. You might say, is it going to do it the same intuition as a human? Probably not. Is it going to do it to this better intuition than the average human? Probably yes. It's just, a highly
Yes.
experienced human. No, it's not going to be as good as that. But the
Yeah.
average person, you would probably train the AI up faster than you would train a new staff member, though, to go and
Yeah.
intuitively learn it. But as good as you, maybe not, because you know this stuff well. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's still
Yeah.
saving
Yeah.
you a lot of
Absolutely.
time by looking through this stuff.
I guess my understanding of what's possible with AI is definitely expanding. I know you've got some tools coming down the pipeline there that I personally think are a game changer, and I'm looking forward to them being released to the public later on down the line. A
Mm.
few quick kind of rapid fire questions here for you, Mark.
Yeah.
What is the greatest skill that a marketer should have?
I usually would say copywriting for conversions. For me, I've got over 200 millionaires on my Skype. I mean, that's built up over 20 something years, just meeting different people and from masterminds and other things over the years. And I would say like 90% of them at least are really good at writing copy that sells. And
Yeah.
any student I've ever coached or anybody that's ever got obsessed with copywriting for a while and just learns how to convert visitors into sales tends to eventually do very well because you can always buy traffic, but that traffic may not convert into a sale if you really don't understand how to think like a potential buyer because you are not the market. You may be the market, but very often you're promoting a product that you are not the market if you're going to expand and scale anyway. You may be the market if you're only promoting products that you yourself would buy, but that's usually just a starting strategy. That's not like a long term scaling strategy. Like you need to learn how to understand what consumers want and then provide it to them. Um, and yeah, I would say copywriting number one for me personally.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that the even if you are not yourself a brilliant copywriter, if you are highly educated on the topic of copy, you are significantly more empowered to get better results out of the people who write copy for you.
Mm.
It's the people that have no idea about copy at all. They're the victims of copywriters that produce bad results. So I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. So at the very least, you'll be able to see copy and know. You don't have to be sit there writing it all yourself.
Yeah,
It's not a bad idea to be doing that while you're learning,
for
anyway.
sure.
But yeah, as long as you can, I guess, identify good copy when you see it. But even like guys like Steve Jobs, I mean, he might not have written Apple's ad copy as such, but he certainly had to know how to be persuasive,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get his ideas across. And also, he would run a launch every year, for an iPhone or for an iPods and all that. He was basically running product launches. I mean, that's similar to marketing strategy stuff, attention, interest, desire, proof, a story, um, you name it. He was doing it,
yeah.
and again, that's just an example. It's not always immediately apparent to people because people think copywriting, they think just long form sales letters or a webinar script or a video sales letter or an ad on TV. But that's definitely really, really good, but it applies in a lot of areas. If you got good at that stuff, you're eventually going to do pretty well somewhere along the line.
I totally agree. What is the surest way to grow an internet business, in your opinion?
The surest way, I think, to me, all internet businesses that do well come down, like I said, they come down to that simple formula. So you've got to find a product that converts, or make a product that will convert well. So get good at copy and make a product that is in high desire that helps people solve a problem, right? Or multiple problems. Um, like I say, that's why it's being an affiliate's often the best way to start, because there already is a product that's selling. Okay, but so you've got to have a product that converts. Okay, you've got to find a way to get leads. So how do you get in front of that market? Are people in that market searching to solve their problem? Are they literally is it a broad appeal market? So you just need to just create an audience around that topic area and start building content, and put it on YouTube. What do you need to do? Like, the surest way to succeed is find a way to get traffic, find a way to have a product that you can promote or a product of your own. And if you've got visitors and you've got a product and a certain percentage of them are buying, you're going to make sales, right? And then eventually you start learning how to get a higher dollars per sale and how to get more sales to those same customers. And then you're scaling. And um, any way of making money on the internet that doesn't involve that model tends to either be, one, a loophole that doesn't last long enough, so it doesn't stand the test of time, doesn't become a website you still own 10 years later and it's still making sales, say, or two, it's a scam. Generally,
Yeah,
like 99
yeah,
times out of 100, it seems to be like that. Everything seems to fit that model. The traffic might be different. Like, one year it might be Twitter, the next year it might be Facebook, the next year it's YouTube or whatever, but it's still traffic, right? The
yeah,
conversions, how you convert it, might be a video sales letter one year, and then it's a webinar. It might be another year. Another year, you might be converting sales by selling apps on an app store on iOS, but one way or another, people are still converting into customers, right? So, in all of these models have probably been the same even before the internet came along, when people were running commercials to get leads that would turn up to their coffee shop, and then they have to try and convert those people into paying customers by having a good menu and a good place to come and eat and stuff. And then they increase the average dollars per customer by maybe having some more premium items there. And then if their customers keep coming back 5 times a month or something, or 5 times a year or whatever it might be, then they're going to make more from the repeat customers. It's the same thing. It's just ported from physical business to online business. Things can look more complicated when you are new, but when you've been in there a while, you start to realize that stuff isn't that complicated. It's can be boiled down as simple as that: leads, conversions, dollars per sale, average number of sales per customer. And the simplest way to succeed is find a method and stick to it, and really be willing to spend 3 times as much time as you first thought that it would take to do that thing. And quite often that's about how long it takes. People often give up when they've spent the amount of time they thought it would take, or maybe double that time. And it's actually maybe quite often it's 3 times as much time as you first thought. And then you get there and then you're scaling and you're doing well. So persistence, that's the other thing, I guess.
I love it. I love it. What is the greatest perhaps idea, tactic, or maybe the most profitable idea, tactic, strategy, secret you discovered in marketing? Always a tough question.
Yeah, I think it's just this is assuming that you're already making money now and you're trying to scale, then invest in things that make things. So whether that be staff, because staff can make things, like more employees can help build things, or whether that be building a software tool that will now help automate something that you're already doing manually. So it's making something, or an AI tool or whatever. Like keeps those sort of things are really good things to spend money on, because they pay for themselves over and over. When I first got started online, when I was earning $150 a week, I hired my first staff member, $10 an hour, 10 hours a week. I carried on living off my student loan, and I had him writing articles for me. So it's investing in a thing that makes things, like a person that was writing articles. So that, I do believe that spending money on things that help you overcome procrastination or that help improve your productivity, I think those are good things to spend money on. They're good investments. Buying software, a software tool that is going to help you. Those sort of things, I think, are a really good expenditure of money. Like buying something that's the next shiny object, like a different money-making scheme or something than what you're already doing. That's not always a good idea unless you really are ahead already and you think that you want to have 2 streams of income. I don't mind multiple streams of income, but quite often you've got to focus for quite some time and make sure that stream A is already doing well first before you get on to stream B. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's it. And just making sure every day you're doing something. If you're always walking the path, sooner or later you get to the end. So always be spending at least an hour a day on your working towards your goal. Don't let yourself watch TV or do something else that's procrastinating or be on social media. You do those things fine, but make sure you've spent at least an hour towards your main goal. If you do that every day, sooner or later, you'll be quite a long way ahead. And I'm saying at least an hour because I know, when you really get into this stuff, let yourself go for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. It doesn't matter if you get obsessed with this stuff. This is your life you're talking about, right? It's worth it to when the iron is hot, strike then. So it's okay to put a bit of extra time in at that point, and then an hour a day should be fine, though. But if you can do more, definitely.
Oh man, I love it. Great, great, great answer. Second last question. What kind of ways do you monetize your customers? I mean, I know you run a lot of affiliate stuff. Do you do webinars? Do you do direct mail? Do you try and get them on the phone, sell them high ticket stuff? Like what is kind of the money
I
shot?
mean, most I guess in most niches we have a video sales letter for I guess a lot of the time video sales letter, or a written sales page. My favorite way is probably a short form written sales page. If that works, I'm really happy. But quite often you need more. You need to go ahead and really put out an elaborate video sales letter or a really strong webinar, or something like that. And that's obviously you go ahead and you work out what works and what doesn't. A lot of niches people need a lot more information, so they'll need a full-on webinar and everything. And then but some niches I've found, like self-hypnosis tracks and stuff like that, a medium-length sales copy is enough, and people are quite keen to already buy, especially if they bought from you before. If they already know your tracks are good, they just almost skim through the thing and just hit buy on your next track. So it depends on the niche. Definitely, I guess my favorite would be sales copy. But the reality is that quite often you need video sales letter instead of written, or you need to have a webinar.
When you run like video sales letters, are you doing deadline? Like, are they like deadline funnels, or you're just sending traffic straight to the VSL?
Generally, it's traffic straight to the VSL, unless it's paid traffic, in which case it'll go to a landing page first, where we may or may not capture the lead, depending on what converts better. It's quite often it's to a quiz, like I'll
Interesting.
answer a whole bunch of questions, and maybe we'll get a 40% opt-in rate on that quiz. Quite often that'll convert better than straight to the sales page, and we'll end up with the email opt-in at the end of it. And we can send them to the appropriate sales page based on their answers to the quiz. So we might have 5 different sales pages and they end up on a certain one based on those answers.
Awesome. Mark, you've been great. Last question. What's your favorite book on marketing or advertising, or your favorite book that has helped you a lot in this business?
That's a difficult question. I would say the one that's probably helped me the most, and it's not because it's the best book, it's just because it was one of the first books. But it probably helped me the most because it was one of the first books. I would have read this information elsewhere if I hadn't found it here. But it's probably a book by Bradley Sugars, Instant Cash Flow by Bradley Sugars. It was just like that's where I got that leads times conversion rates times average dollars per customer times average number of sales per customer. That's where I got that formula from, and probably a few other ones. It just set me off on a good because that was not even anything to do with internet marketing. It was just to do with how to run a solid business. And here's me like just starting online back in 1999, learning how to run my own internet marketing business. And I didn't buy someone else's internet marketing training. I just figured it out for myself. And I'm grabbing books on genuine business books, trying to learn this stuff and try to draw the parallels and take them online. And this actually had a lot of stuff that was, the parallels from that book were applicable not only to real business, but applicable online as well. It worked great, even though he probably had no intention of it being for online business when he wrote it, but it worked well. So, I mean, that was a big impact. There's probably been so many other books that have had a lot of impact, like Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. It's a really good book on copywriting. So there's been many others over the years. So it's hard to name one book in particular, but certainly those are a couple of really good ones.
Mark, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and to share all the awesome things that you shared with us here. If anybody wanted to learn more about you and kind of study from you and just kind of be in your circle there, where would they go? How would they connect with you?
I mean, they could check out one of my websites. I've even got a new YouTube channel. My newest YouTube channel is called Atomic Gains, and I have a website at atomicgains.com, which has a lot of AI tools. We've reviewed hundreds of different AI tools, and we've got a free YouTube channel that goes ahead and reviews different tools. We've even built our own tools as well, which we're going to be releasing shortly on there. So then there's affiliarama.com if people are interested in affiliate marketing. I've had that for a number of years as well. So that's another place as well.
Awesome. Well, Mark, you're on a very short list of guys that I think are just, among the elite of the elite. So anybody listening to the podcast here, go to Atomic Gains and or any of the other resources that Mark mentioned. Get on Mark's list, join his channel, study everything that he's up to. You're watching a really elite guy operate at the highest levels. So, Mark, thank you so much for being here once again, man.
I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
God bless, man. One of the biggest takeaways for me from this episode is this idea that I, should go out and hire an AI developer to create tools that crank out a lot more advertising and make everything about my business a lot more efficient. I would love to know, have you ever considered hiring an AI developer? Do you think that that's a strategic decision? Do you see the value in hiring somebody like that? I would love to hear your opinion on that. Go ahead, share your thoughts below. As always, I look forward to hearing from you. And if you have a question about marketing or advertising or monetization that you would like my help with, then all you got to do is send me an email to caleb@monetizationresearch.com, and I will do my very best to answer your question in an upcoming episode. In the next episode, I have the extraordinary pleasure of having Robert Scrobe on the show. The highest compliment that I could pay Rob is that Rob is the only consultant that I personally pay and have continued to pay month after month, year after year. Rob is a master at retention and keeping people on continuity, but he is so much more than that. He has transformed my business. He's transformed my perspective on entrepreneurship and marketing. And I really can't wait to grill him on all the things that he and I have been working on, and as well as all of the things that he is highly skilled on. So for heaven's sake, look out for that episode. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And as always, the best way to stay in the loop with all things monetization is to join my free newsletter, Monetization Daily. You can go ahead and get it at monetizationresearch.com. We will send you our very best and favorite news, tips, tactics, strategies, and discoveries about how to monetize your business, which is ultimately all about increasing your profits. So again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com and sign up for my daily newsletter now.